Masechta Menachos, Daf Kupes Amud Beis, from
quick
Tanei Abanim.
to grasp, quick to regret.
No, he said, let's say he said, I take upon myself to bring a mincha of a shallow pan, machas. And instead he brought a macheshes, a deep pan, or the reverse. So we say, it's as if he meant to bring a different carbon, but the one that he promised to bring, he didn't bring, so he wasn't Yetzi, they Chavasei.
Got it.
Reb Shimon says, listen, no. Masha Hevi, and so the Mishnah, the Tanakh says, what he brought, neither lo yotza.
Okay.
What he promised, he didn't bring, he's not Yetzer. Shimon says, no, Avi neither yotza. Even the part of the neder that he promised, he is Yotza, because he says, B'per Mamish, he promised over here, like he brings down in the Rashi, he says, since he fulfilled the main part of the neder to bring a mincha, he brought a mincha. He didn't bring it the exact share of the right keli. That's fine. Right. That's what Abshim says. The intention was a mincha.
Right.
Okay. Says Gemara, if there was a son in front of him, and he says this zoi, he says this flour, he's bringing lahab machlis as in a shallow pan, and instead he brought it in a macheshes. So we said it's possible. Now you can't say he meant to bring another mincha. And the second, this one, he wasn't Yotzei Chavas. He was this. He says this case is possible because he didn't mean to bring another mincha. Because when he said this flour for shallow pan, and he puts this flour in a deep pan, he had no. There was no second thoughts that he wanted to bring another mincha because he said this flour is supposed to be a shallow pan.
So
this one, and now he put it in a deep pan, so he's not Yotzei. In fact, you might have time we learned in the Brais like please shut us. Just because he put in another keli, that doesn't make it holy. Why does the Mishnah say the mincha is psula? He should be able to take out the sailors from that keli and put it in another back into the original kli that he promised. What's the big deal? The keli is not what makes it holy. That's what we said. You know you're wrong. Loi kitchen, not you're wrong. Loi kitchen, it means. It doesn't make a holy likarev. It's the keli doesn't sanctify it enough that it should be ready for mincha. Because usually the kmitza, what makes it holy? Because after the kmitza you put in another kli shadas. That kli shadas makes the kmitza holy. But in the first keli, where you placed it in, the whole flour, that's the kli that only has a lower level of kedusha, not enough to be able to be makom on the mizbeach. But it has enough of a level of kedusha to make it possible that if you put it in the wrong kli, it's going to be possible. Abaya said, "Lo shanu." This that now Mishnah said that a soilis that he designated flour that he designated for a machvas, but instead he put it in a machesh in a deep pan that it's going to be possible. Ela shekvam b'shas haneder. When did he say? When was the time that he designated for a shallow plan? Only right at the neder. He said, "Harei alai lahavi seilezu lamachvas." When he said the first neder, he said it right away for a pan. But what's if he said avol? He said, "I'm bringing a mincha." He didn't specify for a machvas or machesh. He didn't say which keli. B'shas afrosha. But when he went and he took off the mitzvah, or taking a part of he took off a part of the flour to put in a kli, he decided, okay, now I'm making it for a machvas. Says Gemara, then it doesn't become possible. Because it says kasher nadarta. When you made a neder, you didn't specify. It could be anything. Right. Now you want to do it, now when you're breaking off the piece, you want to go.
This is a general neder, and that was a specific
That's the neder. We don't go according to when you separated a piece of a dough to now put it, say, okay, now it's going into this keli. That doesn't mean it's designated for that keli. The only designation is right when you made the neder. If in the neder you said general mincha, it could go in any pan. And you can't tell me, no, I decided later when I took off the piece, it's going into machas. Right. That's not when the dedication happens. The dedication for whatever kli has to happen only at the time when he made the neder. Says Gemara, Itmanami also learned similarly. Amar Rabbi Yach Rabbi Chanina, Rabbi Yasi, Amar Rabbi Yechden, Rabbi Yach Rabbi Chanina said the name of Rabbi Yasi, the name of Rabbi Yechden, Lo Yishanu, that the says and the mincha that were designated for a shallow pan, right? And then he brought it machesh that apostle ela shekavim shasam neder. Only if at the neder, at the time when he gave the neder to give a mincha, he said it's going only for a machmas v'shal pan. Then if he changes it's possible. Avo b'shah haprasha. But if he at the beginning said the general term mincha, which means any keli, and then when he took off the piece of flour and he decided he wants to go machmas, that doesn't make it specifically for machmas. You can do any keli because we go kasher nadarto, like at the time when you made the day, there were like kasher ifrashta, not like when you separated the dough. Somebody says, "Behold, I take upon myself a mincha from Seirim." Today we learned about that at Bali. We learned today that that we should, in addition to all the shiurim, learn Masechta Seita, a daf a day, corresponding to 49 days of the Yoma. Right. So the question is, Shavuos, we also have 49. Why do we choose the Masechta Seita? So the Rebbe says, because Masechta Seita and Oimel, and also this Pasha, which he said that Yom, which is on a Wednesday, talks about the Oimel, are brought from Se'irim. Those are the only two minchas that are brought from Se'irim. Seita and Oimel. Anyway, here he said on a regular mincha, he's bringing from Se'irim, there's no such a thing. A regular mincha is always from chitin, from wheat. So we say we divide his words. Even though he said he's bringing a mincha from Se'irim, we say he meant mincha chitin. We split his words, and we don't go. We don't listen to the last words. We listen to the first words. We'll soon talk about it in the Gemara. Says Gemara kemach. If he says I take upon myself a mincha and kemach, he says from flour. Yavi seilis. Flour is not sifted. It's not refined. So therefore, he doesn't mean kemach. He means seilis. And same thing. He said, I'm bringing a mincha without shem levaina. No such thing. He said mincha. You have a shem levaina. He has to bring a levaina. What's if he said I'm bringing a mincha from chatzi son of a half of this year? He didn't know that the minimum is a sorry. He said chatzi son. Yavi son shalom. He has to bring a fully son, even though he said chatzi son after the word mincha. Because the moment he said mincha, it means a fully son. Isan or mechza. If he said his son and a half his son, Yavi Shnaim, he has to be two Menochos, two minchas. Reb Shimon, he says he's potter. Shalei is not do Kedar Chams not. He didn't do the lashon the right way. Says Gemara, why is the one that gives a neid the mechuyev to bring a mincha at all? Nado pischa imayu. This is a neder, and he retracted right away. Says I'm bringing a mincha, and to show that he's retracting, he said Seidim. He says something that a mincha cannot be brought from. He says, I'm bringing a mincha without Shem Elovein. That means he's retracting. Why don't we say that's what he did? He retracted. Right. And it should be a retraction. Who's this Tana following? Beishami. It follows Beishami. The Amir Beishami says, we follow his first words. What were his first words? Mincha. He said, mincha? I don't care now you're saying, Sa'irim, we don't go follow your last words. We follow your first words. Now, where do we see that? We learned in the Mishnah Nazar. Somebody says he's taking his ears, he's letting his hair grow, of course, and he's separating from what? From grapes. Okay, that's fine. But then he said, Uminat Vela, from pressed figs. No such a thing. For a Nazar is not from pressed figs. He's still a Nazar. Why? Because we go his first three, his first words we follow. Basically, according to Beishama, when a person says, at the end, words that are contradicting his neighbor, when he says dried figs, he says we go according to the first lashon. But Beis Hillel goes according to the last lashon also. According to the last lashon. We could even say it follows Beis Hillel that we go according the Tanakama follows Beis Hillel. And why did he say that he still brings the mincha? He said words that contradict his words, and we should go according to his last words. And he says because it's talking about a case where we see he didn't mean to his last. He didn't know what he was talking about. But he says if I would have known that a mincha comes from only from chitin, I would have said mincha from chitin. I didn't know. I thought a mincha is from Seirin. Or when I said a mincha from a half a Yisrael, I didn't know. I thought a half a Yisrael is good enough. I'm a cheap guy. I don't have that money. I wanted to just give a half. I didn't realize it. But if I knew it has to be Yisrael, I would have said Yisrael. So in that case, Beis admits the guy Pashut made a mistake.
Right.
So we follow his words and we know it means a mincha. Chizkiah said, Lo Yishanu in the Mishnah that he's chayv to bring a kosher mincha, even if he shows from the last words that he doesn't want to bring, Ela de Amma mincha bin Haseidim. Only if he said the mincha is coming from barley. Avol Amma min Hadashim. But if he said, I'm bringing a mincha from lentils, loy, he's not chayv for sure. There it's not possible to make a mistake on lentils. Where could I say he made a mistake? If he said, I'm bringing a mincha from Seirim, yeah, people can make a mistake. We know Seita Omer is brought from Seirim, so he thought of me, you could bring a regular mincha from Seirim. That could be a mistake. But if he said he's bringing a mincha from lentils, everybody knows lentils is not a mincha, so we can't say it's not even an option. Yeah. In fact, you want to look into this. Chizkiah himself, like whom does he hold? Says the Gemara, Kibei Shammai. He holds like Beis Shammai. Ubei Shammai, and the reason for Beis Shammai, the neder is chal, even on things that are not fit to be makir. Mishum, first lashon rishon. He says we go according to the first lashon, and if we're following the first lashon, mali and minas heinim, mali min hadashim. If you're looking at his first words, mincha, that's what we focus on. I don't care if it's gonna. He said barley. He said lentils. We don't care if it contradicts. We follow the first lashon. So the question is, it should be kosher. And you said in Hadashim, if he said he's going to give from lentils, it's not going to be kosher. So hadabe. So we have to say Chizkiah retracted, and he was made to the Hezbollah of Rabbi Yochanan. That what? That the Tanna Kama holds like Beis Hillel. And it's talking about that he made a neder, and he says, if I would have known that this is a mistake, that this is wrong, I would have said the right neder. So that's how we're going to learn the pshat, and he holds like Beis Hillel. Like in one of my time I had debate. Why did Chizkiah retract? Because he had a problem with the lashon of the Mishnah. Because if the reason is because you follow the first lashon, my area the Tani Mincha bin Haseidim. Why do you have to learn mincha from Seirim? List them in Hadashim. If you're saying your focus is only on the first words, he says, and we know min Hadashim is no good. Everybody agrees if he said min Hadashim, it's not going to be a mincha. Why shouldn't it be a mincha if we're going according to his first lashon? That's where the focus is. He said mincha, it should be a mincha even if it's from lentils. So that's what he had a problem. Alishmami knows, arrive from here, mishum de toyu. He has to say that the guy said, I made a mistake. And that's so if he said he made a mistake, so where could you say he made a mistake? B'seirim toy. He says, I made a mistake, I would have done the neder right. So we trust him only if he said, I'm bringing a mincha from Seirim, that he probably did make a mistake. There are other minchas brought from Bali. But ba'adash toy. And why by Hadash I'm going to say it's not going to be a mincha? Because people won't make a mistake about lentils. It's not even begeder of bringing a mincha. But Rabbi Yochanan says if he made a neder from Hadashim, he brings still the mincha. We don't say it's disqualified. It's lentils. Okay. We say it's still not disqualified. Mechti. Rabbi Yochanan, who did Rabbi Yochanan say that? According to, it says Beis Hillel. He followed Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel mishum de toyu. But Beis Hillel, we said it's because he made a mistake, and the mistake was b'seirim toyu. Ba'adashim loy toyu. We say only by Seirim he makes a mistake, but by Adash we said we just concluded doesn't make a mistake. So who could Rabbi Yochanan be following that even by lentils it will still be mechuva mincha if by Adash, if he follows Beis Hillel, even by Adash, Beis Hillel says Adash people do not make a mistake, it wouldn't be a good mincha. So why did Rabbi Yochanan say by even if he said lentils it's a good mincha? So if you want to live out of the Chizkiah Kamalot, he's saying according really to Chizkiah, he was saying his words. That what did Chizkiah say? That the Tanna Kama holds like Beis Shammai. Rabbi Yochanan himself holds like Beis Hillel. But the Tanna Kama spoke about only min Seirim, not min Hadashim. So at my time Hadadba, he says, you Chizkiah, why did you retract from your shita? Mishum d'loi katanim in Hadashim. Because there's a greater chiddush in Hadashim that you can't be. Okay, what's the chiddush in more in Hadashim? According to Chizkiah, Why did Chizkiah, according to Chizkiah, he says, why did he learn Dafke min Aseirim, and why didn't he learn min Hadashim? If you follow the first lashon, and Hadashim is also good, so why he should have said Hadashim in the Mishnah? That's a greater chiddush. Even something that's far fetched, it's not even shy for a mincha. He still has to bring it as a mincha. He should have said it by lentils and not by barley. It says he comes to tell us a chiddush that he has to bring a mincha because that's an honest mistake. The by Hadashim is you could say, listen, when he said Arei Alai Mincha, he really had in mind to bring a full mincha, and when he said Min Hadashim, Medu Dahada Bay, he retracted from his words, his first words. Or with face Lashon Rishon. So there we say, I don't care if you retracted from your first words. We don't go according to your last words. We go according to your first words. So therefore, Hadashim is a real retraction because everybody knows that the mincha is not brought from that. By him saying Hadashim is a real retraction, and the chiddush is, so there is no chiddush because we know we focus on his first words. He said mincha. But even by Sa'irim, you could say here he made a mistake. Here he didn't retract. By Sa'irim, I could say he never retracted. He really wanted to bring a mincha from Sa'irim. Oh, so he didn't retract. He really wanted to bring a mincha from Sa'irim. So I would have said, hey, this is already, it's disqualified. If you say it was a retraction, we clearly say you cannot retract. We follow your first words. But if you say he never retracted and he meant to bring a mincha, maybe you should disqualify it. So I feel it's face Lashon Rishon. He says, nevertheless, it's not disqualified. We follow the first words, and he said mincha, and he has to bring a proper mincha. That's the chiddush. Ziri said, Lo Shanu, and now Mishnah Yichayv to bring a kasher mincha, even if he said things that are not fit for the mincha nedava. Ella the Amma mincha. That's only if he first started off with the word mincha, right, and then he said words that contradicted a mincha. Then we follow his first words. Let's say he didn't say the word mincha first. Rashi says, or he said minchas. Didn't say mincha, he said minchas machvas. So it could only mean machvas, right? Yeah. Or he didn't say mincha. Says light. Then he cannot bring anything because he didn't say a mincha, the word mincha, which would mean a full isarin or min dafke chitin. If he left out the word mincha and he said just chitin, or he started off with Sa'irim right away. So if he started off with Sa'irim, it's already disqualified. There's no Lashon Rishon to follow. There's no first Lashon to follow that it meant the mincha. He started off with the word Sa'irim. I'm bringing. Right. Yasser Rav Nachman, the Kabbalah Hashmaita, he says, I got a problem with that. Eser Rav Nachman, when they said over these words that if he didn't say the word mincha, he's not mechuyev to bring. So Rav Nachman sat down and he says, how could you say that? He said, look in the Mishnah. It says the word kemach. In the Mishnah it doesn't say, he said, I'm bringing a mincha, and then he says, kemach, I'm bringing flour. He starts off right away, kemach, I'm bringing coarse flour. Yavim said this, he has to bring sailors. And you said no, if he starts off without the word mincha. Of course, it's not refined. Sailors is refined. So he says, he started off with kemach without saying a word mincha before it. Right. So, and nevertheless, we said he brings some sailors. And you said, no, if he starts with kemach, that's his first words. It's no good. It's disqualified. That's what we just concluded. And the Mishnah says it's not disqualified. Right. He said, kemach, he brings sailors. He says, you might have loved leyama mincha. And the Mishnah just started off with the word kemach, and he didn't say the word mincha. Says, you might have loved leyama mincha. He before said the word mincha. Says, you might have, in the Mishnah we learned again, it says, beloy shemel levaina, without oil and spice. And he didn't say the word mincha. He didn't say, I'm bringing a mincha beloy shemen. He didn't use the word mincha. And it says, you have a shemen levaina. He still brings shemen levaina. Even though he said beloy shemen levaina. So that means, my love, beloy yama mincha, that he didn't say the word mincha first. So you see, even when he doesn't say mincha first, and he just says without shemen levaina, he still brings shemen levaina. Says, he did say the word mincha first. And he's going to have the same question again. Chatzi yisarim, yavi yisarim shalom. If he says, I'm bringing a half a Yisarin, but he didn't say a mincha, he didn't bring out the word mincha, it says it means a whole Yisarin. So how could it mean? It should be disqualified. He didn't say the word mincha. He says, my love, lo yom mincha. It's in the Mishnah. You don't see that he said mincha first. He says, Gemara loy, the amma mincha. The Mishnah is talking about that he said mincha first. In fact, Gemara Yehachi, if so, Ema Seifa, it says in the Seifa, Isarnu Machza Yavishnayim. He brings, if he says, I'm bringing Isarin and a half, he brings two. Even the Amma, since he said Harei Alai Mincha, Ichai Alai Bi Isarin, he already became a Chuy Bi Isarin. Yama Chatzi Isarin, Loi Klum Kama. It's as if he's saying nothing. Says the Gemara, so if so, he should be only chayv one isarin. Why are you saying he's chayv two isarin? He said he should be only chayv one isarin. You said isarin machsa, he automatically brings two isarin. Says Gemara, no, since he said mincha, it means isarin. And when he says chatzi isarin, it should be disqualified. It means nothing. Why do you automatically assume that it means a second isarin? Says Gemara, Leitzich over here, it's talking about the Amma that the Neidah said, Arei alai mincha, chatzi isarin, ve'isarin. That he first said, I'm bringing a mincha of a chatzi isarin. Right. And then he said isarin. The Kivin the Amma mincha, since he said before the words chatzi isarin, mincha, ichayev le isarin. Even though he said chatzi isarin, it means one isarin. Yama chatzi isarin, ve'loi klum ka'ama. When he said Chatzi Yisrael means nothing, because he started off with the word Mincha before Chatzi Yisrael, so that Chatzi Yisrael means zero. It means we go according to the first word, which is a full Yisrael. Then Kihada Rama, he said Chatzi Yisrael v'Yisrael. When he said the word Yisrael again, Ma'asi Yisrael Nachrina, he has to bring a second one.
$100, and you're like, I'll just $50?
No, he said, I'm bringing a Mincha, which is $100.
Right.
And then he said it's $50. So he said we just $50 plus another $100. So we say that $50 means that. You started $100,
right.
Then you went down to 50, disqualified the 50, the mincha is 100. And then you said 50, and then another 100, so it's another 100. That's what he's saying. It's another mincha. But if so, Rabbi Shimon says, all these cases, he's potter completely. Shaloi, he's not the because he didn't use the right lashon, how one gives an adava. Right. Says the Gemara Amai. Why is it Shaloi Kederech Hadin V'Snadvin? If you follow his first words, right, like Beis Shammai, he said Mincha, that's the Derech HaMisnadvin. And if you're going to say, but he said Chatzi Yisrael, and you don't follow his first words, and you go like Beis Hillel, go according to the last words. He said Yisrael. So he should, either way, it should have been a good Mincha. Right. Why do you say it's completely disqualified in the case we said, I'm bringing a Mincha, Chatzi Yisrael, and then Yisrael. If you follow like Beis Shammai, it's the right lashon. He said mincha, because you go according to the first words. If you follow Beis Hillel, you go according to the last words. He said he's sorry. Why shouldn't there be a good mincha? It's not a kasha. Reb Shimon kishitzes b'shitzes Rabbi Yosi Amara. Reb Shimon said in the shita Rabbi Yosi, the Amma apik ma'advarav adam nitbas. We look at the whole picture, and since in the middle of the picture there was something contradictory, he says Chatzi Yisrael, it's automatically disqualified. That's how he holds, like Rabbi Yosi. Sagt the Mishnah about the Mincha, shall Shish Misad maybe B'Kli Yachad, and in Omar Shish Me'ach, maybe Shish B'Kli Yachad, V'Yachad B'Kli Echad. He says if somebody gives an adava, a Mincha of 60 Yisrael, right? That could all be put in one vessel. What's if he makes a nade? I'm giving 61. 60 is in one vessel, one is in the other. Shekain. Hatzibur made b'yam t'harish shal chag shecholis m'shabbos shish me'echad. It says that the most that tzibur can bring is 61. But dayoy liyachid shehu pachas min hatzibur echad. And for yachid, it's only right that he shouldn't have the same level of a tzibur, which is 61. So therefore, the minimum is 60, and that's why 60 by a yach, the most you can bring in one keli is 60. So where do you get the number 61? So he brings down that, but when it comes to Yom Tov, on the Chag that's Chal B'Shabbos, so you bring that day 39, 13 parim, 3 Yisraelis per par, 13 times 3,
13 to 39.
is 39. And then by 2 elim, 2 Israelis per elim, there were 2 rams.
Yeah.
Each ram is 2 Israelis, 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 plus 39?
43.
43. And then you had 18 kvasim. I'm sorry, 18 kvasim, right. Every Isarin for a kevis was 1 Isarin. So that's plus 18.
Right.
18, where were you up to?
43.
43.
It's 53,
61. 61. That's where you get it. The most that you can bring is 61. And so by a yachid, it has to be a lower level, so it's 60. So that's how we know it's 61 keli and one in the next. I'm going to have Shimon. V'haloi, the chelik of the shishim, ve'echad, elu la'parim, is 4 parim. And then the elu, and then a part of the Israelis come like kvasim. So one is thick and one is thin, and one has more oil, one has less oil. So you cannot mix these two Israelis in together because some are more thicker and some are more thin, more with oil, more liquidy. So you can't mix it in. Ella, only the reason is he says the only reason is that you can only put 60 in a keli because it has to be fit to be able to mix. So the shear is up to 60 in 1 keli. You can mix the oil 1 lug with all 60. But if it's more than 60, it won't get mixed well. You're going to have some dried stuff that will not touch the oil.
Too much solid for the liquid.
For the liquid, correct. Amrulay, so the Chacham say shishim nevlalim v'shishim echad ein nevlalim. He says, what are you coming up? You're saying 60? Yes. 61 not? What are you talking about? Well, just because it's one more Isari?
Doesn't work.
Amalahem, yeah, that's how it works. Kol mitzvah Chachamim, all the measurements that the Chachamim estimated came, it's exact. Like, Ba'abayim saw 40 saw of water, who table, a person can be table himself to become Torah. Ba'abayim saw chasa kaitev, if it's 40, even missing a drop of water, a little raindrop, it's no good. So you see, the measurements of the Chacham were exact. It's like you want to shir shayla l'mayla ben Rabbi Yehuda ben Rabbi Eloi. There was a question that was asked before Rabbi Yehuda ben Rabbi Eloi. So, Menayim, where's the makar? Le'oima harei alai shish me'achad, maybe shish me'kli achad, rach me'kli achad. Where is, from where do we know that if you have 61 Esreinas, 60 has to go in 1 keli and 1 has to go in another keli? Pascha Rabbi Yehuda ben Rabbi Eloi, reish hamadam b'chol makim. Rabbi Yehuda ben Rabbi Eloi became the reish, he was the first one that was honored to answer any question. Even though Rabbi Shimon was there, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was great. Right. Why? Because of the famous story. First, I want to tell you where it is. It has to do with Lag Ba'ima. And this story of Lag Ba'ima is in Shabbos Lag. Lamed Gimel.
Lamed Gimel, you mean
the story. The Daf Lamed Gimel, Lamed Beis. Over there it talks about that they were discussing about Rome. And the one that spoke about the rulership of Rome nicely was Rabbi Eloi. All the other ones either spoke bad and one kept quiet, didn't say anything. So they appointed that he should always be the chief rabbi. Okay. The head of the speakers, always the first speaker to answer as the head rav. The Romans made it for the head rav. Not that he wasn't a great person. He was a great person. For we find that a tzibah brings on the first day of Yom Tov, suitcase that falls on a Shabbos, 61 Esreinis like we did before. And Yachid could be misnadav up to 60 because he goes 1 less than a tzibah. So that's how we know 61 keli. Rab Shimon said back, is that the reason? He says a part of it, the Esreinis are on the sachem which are mixed for parim and the sachem for eilim. The eilu kvasim, and then you have a part of kvasim. Eilu, the sachem of the bulls and the rams, bli los and ava. It's less oil, it's more thick. The eilu, and in the sachem that was used for the sheep, bli los and raka, there was much more oil. It was more soft, the dough. And he says the some of the Nesachim were done with the Tamid Shel Shach only in the morning. And then there was a part of the Nesachim Bein Habayim, which was only done by the Tamid Shel Bein Habayim. So is that we don't find that they were mixed in one keli. So how could you say 61 keli, one another keli? It has nothing to do with 61 keli. They were never put together for many reasons. Either some of them were thick and some of them were soft because it was mixed with more oil, and some of the sachar was brought for the Tamid Shel Shachar in different times, and some was brought for the Tamid Shel Bein Habayim. He said, you say a reason. Amalei, so Rabbi Shimon said, Hareyu Eimer. So Amalei, Rabbi Yehuda said back, you say the reason why do we need 60 Yisraelis in one keli and one in the other? Amalei, so Rabbi Shimon answered, Hareyu Eimer. It says in the pasuk, Chol mincha b'lo b'shamim chareva. It says any mincha which is mixed with oil, and chareva means the dry. Kfar Amar Torah, Havi mincha sheyichal lebalei. It already says in the Torah that you have to bring a mincha, that you have to be able to mix it. And the only time that it's able to be mixed is only if it's 61 keli. More than 60 will not get mixed. Amalei, Rabbi Yehuda said, Shishim, B'shishim nevlalim, B'shishim yachadayin mavalim. Only if it's 60, it's able to be mixed. And if it's not 60, it's unable to be mixed. Oh, very good. Says Gemara, Amalei, so he answered, all the measurements that the Chacham gave are exact. Like Ba'aba sa, only if it's 40 sa of water, then one could be toivel himself and become tar. Or Ba'aba sa chasar kaitav, if there's 40 sa missing a drop and a then it's disqualified from being able to be toivel and become tar. Kibeya, the size of an egg, metama to then it's that shear could be metama food. Kibeya chasar shumshum. If it's a bayah but missing this a sesame piece from the egg, just a little piece, it's not able to be matamatum seichel. Shloisha, a baguette, which is the width of 3 tvachim on 3 tvachim, metame midas. It does become tame by on trampling or sitting on it. But a baguette shloisha chas and nima achas. If it's 3 and 3 missing one thread, any matame midas, not matame midas. Even if there's 61 isar, even if you can't mix it well, what's the big deal? But now we learned in the Mishnah in loy balal, even if he didn't mix the flour with the oil, right? Nevertheless, the carbon is kasha. Says it has to be something that you're able to mix. Then ein bila ma'akeves. Even if you don't mix it, it will be a kasha carbon. But the kol sheina roila bila. But if you're unable to mix it, so bila ma'akeves by. Then even though normally you don't have to mix it, it would be kosher. Here it won't be kosher because even if you do the bila, it wouldn't be baila. Right. So it has to be, when does not mixing it with the oil help? That if you would mix it, will be a good mix. Then we say even if you didn't mix it, the carbon is kosher. But if you would mix it and it wouldn't be a good mix, so then if you didn't do a belila, if you didn't mix it, it's not going to be kosher. So about Bibi. Not Netanyahu. Not that.
That's where his name came from.
Rabbi Yishub ben Levi. Ma'aseh v'prei da'achashol beis Rabbi Shemesa. There was a wild donkey in the house of Rabbi that died. V'shiru chacham es damai, and they measured the blood of that dead donkey. Revius. If it's a revius, a look. So because that's the shear of blood for tumas nevelas. So Masach Rabbi Yitzchak Bisna. Hey, Rabbi Yishub ben Seira. Why was he measuring? If it's the blood of a wild donkey, that's not a kosher animal. It's not metame. There was a story that they killed a bunch of wild donkeys to feed the lions. It was in this place. He calls it Istaya Shamelach. I'll tell you in a second where it was. Istaya, the Dikdukis, what do they say? I'm just looking for the place where he says, It was on a path where all those that were oiler regal to go up to Yerushalayim, they would pass there, and there was so much blood it went up to their knees. So they should have been tamei, lo yamar dava, and they didn't tell them. And the chacham didn't tell them they have to be matar themselves. Ishtik, Shabibi didn't know what to answer because they measured. Why did they measure? I mean, Abzeik my time like come hadabar. So Abzeik said to Habibi, "Why aren't you answering?" Amalei Habibi says, "Heicha hadlei." How could I answer? The pasuk says the description of the punishment Ham Yisrael if they won't watch the Torah. He says there, which is talking about that he had daigas hapanos. That was one of the klolas. He didn't have panos. This is talking about a person who doesn't own a field in which to take tfuah from, and therefore every year he has to go buy wheat for the whole year. This is referring to a person who's even more poor, that he doesn't even have money for the whole year. Forget about the year. He has only he always has to buy for Shabbos l'Shabbos. He's filled with worries. And the other one is v'lo samin b'chayecha. That's somebody who doesn't even have money to buy for the week. Ha'soymech al. He relies on the bread in the morning that he buys every morning ma'apalta from the baker. That's how poor he is. So who gavra? He says that person. He's telling. He's just saying about himself. That person is me. Al palta samach. I'm relying on the bakers. I can't concentrate. I can't answer it. I'm so. Tidas hapanas. I'm so preoccupied with making panas. Like you got to find the garbage can over there. Thinking, what am I having a lot?
Neighbors.
Yeah. So what happened? So what taka? What happened with? Why did they say to measure that blood if it's revius if it's not even metame?
Yeah.
I mean, Rabbi Yehuda Mariana the Ve'nes Yahava. The murder at that time was Rabbi Yehuda. And he said like his own shita, the Tanan that we learned in the Tanya that we learned in the Brayso. Rabbi Yehuda there are 6 themes where we find the reverse, that Beis Shammai is lenient. Usually Beis Shammai is strict. 6 places where Beis Shammai is more lenient, and this is one of them, and Beis Hillel is more machmir. Dam neveles, when it comes to the blood of a nevela, of a dead carcass, Beis Shammai metarim. Beis Shammai says it doesn't make one tamei. Beis Hillel metarim. Beis Hillel says it does. Rabbi Yehuda av kishetim Beis Hillel leitim ella b'chtei revius hayli yachlikus v'lamek al kazayis. Beis Hillel, when he said the blood of a nevela, of a dead carcass is metameh, is only if it's a revius, because when it becomes congealed, it becomes the size of a kazayis, that it could be metameh. So that's who Rabbi Yossi was referring to. That it's tummy, he was referring to Beis Hillel, that shita.